Colonel, thanks for being with us. I want to start right now with the Ukrainian situation. We're giving them cluster bombs. They're running out of ammo. The offensive they promised in the spring, from all real accounts, has failed miserably. We keep supplying them. They keep asking for more and more munitions, more and more money. Now we understand they're starting to get troop desertions. Define what's going on there for us, Colonel.
Yeah, good morning. It's always tough. It's such a dynamic and fluid battlefield. The information coming out of there isn't always crystal clear for us. We don't have the intelligence like we normally would have the intelligence in most conflicts where Americans are there. So oftentimes we're stuck with secondhand information coming through multiple sources, through the alliance, through our allies. What we have to do as a nation is figure out, hey, what do we stand for when it comes to this? And we have to, in some sense, find a way to regulate the types and amounts of ammunition and generally the types and amounts of supplies we are willing to leverage in a fight against Vladimir Putin. Really, essentially, it's against Putin, who literally stands on no legal, ethical, or moral ground whatsoever. So we are assuming a significant amount of risk. Really, it comes down to the American people to decide what is that level of risk we are willing to assume.
Where does this end?
Like most conflicts, eventually it's going to end. It has to end in some type of political settlement. They're neighbors. They're going to have to find a way to work together. They're surrounded by NATO. They're surrounded by the alliance. The alliance, I think, needs to step up in a little bit more effective and efficient way to bring the Russians to their knees politically, to understand this is the solution we're going to expect from you.
Well, right now there's not even any peace negotiations. There's no Paris peace accords. There's no peace accords in Doha. There's no peace accords in Riyadh. I know President Erdogan tried to get something started. He got rejected in Turkey. So there's, other than President Trump saying, hey, elect me and I'm going to end this thing in one day, which I believe he will. How do you get this resolved when you can't even get the two parties at the table, Colonel?
Right. It's one of those it's that brinksmanship, I think, and someone like Putin who's dug his heels so deeply in. This is his regime. Like any dictator, their number one desire in life is to maintain power and grip on that power. I think he has to dig his heels in. Both the Russian and the Belarusian states have to find a way to bring the Ukrainians to their knees, and I don't think that's going to happen. So it's a game of cat and mouse. It's a game of wait. I think everything favors the Ukrainians. I think the world favors the Ukrainians in a lot of ways. I think the Ukrainian armed forces only get stronger and more prepared as it goes with technology and weaponry. But unfortunately, that just leads to more long-term suffering and pain for both sides. The Russians have lost a generation of young men in this conflict, a generation of young men that they can never replace. So there's no good answers to it.
Let's get to the air situation over Syria, where a couple days ago, a Russian fighter jet got very close to U.S. aircraft flying over Syria. Doesn't this accentuate the risk we have here in engaging, that one of these conflicts turn into a bigger level of engagement with us and the Russians?
It's unfortunate. You look at the aircraft we're flying. I believe that was an MC-12, a reconnaissance aircraft. The Russians, in that case, believed they could fly with kind of impunity, that they could threaten it's kind of a slow-moving prop aircraft. Those Russian pilots know if there's any American fighters, they have no chance. Doesn't matter what fighter we put in the air. Their time on this earth is really you can measure it in seconds. So it goes to the will of our country. What do our leaders believe is going to make a statement? And so I believe, number one, first and foremost, we need to defend every American citizen, every American military man and woman fighting overseas. They deserve that level of protection from us. So that shouldn't be happening. That type of bullying should not be happening, and we can prevent that, and we know we can prevent it. And that's the first thing we need to do, is take care of ourselves. And that gets us more credibility, both within all of our allies, and it certainly sends a message to the Russians. I don't think we need to start shooting down Russian aircraft, but we need to send a strong message to them that won't be tolerated. And if you want to be a bully, go somewhere else, because you're going to get bloodied here.